Hey y'all, it's Sharon again, and I'm back to share another experience with you guys. If you're new to the channel, I worked for 20 years for Southeastern City in the US as a police officer. 11 of those years, I was a detective. I'm retired now. I'm here to share experiences in hopes of helping other folks who may be in similar situations and how I got through it. Um, Subscribe to the channel if you find this information useful or helpful or maybe even entertaining, who knows? But share, subscribe, and like. I'd appreciate it. With that being said, I got a phone call from a coworker friend, and she's now retired. And she shared with me that she's been watching the videos that I've been uploading. And she shared with me how she was going through a similar situation and being called a snitch, if you will. And I did not know. I didn't know anything about it. I'd see her, we'd say, "Hey, how you doing?" Joke around a little bit, but I did not know she was going through it. And she shared with me, she said, "I didn't know you were going through all that stuff either." And what resonated with me was the fact that we were going through some of the same things, and we could have reached out to each other, but who knew? But as police officers know, you're trained to be strong. You got to take it. You got to deal with it, and that's a myth. That's a myth. We're all human, and it's better to have someone to depend on, or someone to talk to, or even someone to vent to when you're going through a similar situation, if you will. So she said to me, she said, "You need to share your story." And she hasn't been, she's not the first person to tell me that. And so I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to share my story, but I'm going to start with the very end of the story that I'm about to tell you, the very end, and why I'm retired." Um, at people that get into careers like me, I had an idea as to what I was going to do in this career, where I wanted to get to in terms of promotion, and what I was going to do after retirement. Nothing like that happened. And like I said, I'm going to start with the end. Well, the reason why I'm retired is because I could not pass my qualifications for shooting. Now, there's nothing physically wrong with me, um, but it was a mind thing. I had actually 51 times, probably was a little bit more, but at least 51 times to qualify. The closest I came to qualifying was 238, and 240 was passing. And I realized after taking all the training that they told me to take, I even had to go through the academy class again, and I still didn't pass. I remember the day like it was yesterday when that last bullet went downrange, and I realized that I didn't pass. This terror struck me for a hot second, and I looked down the line and I saw one female. She was crying because we were there. That was our last chance, and she started crying, and she just broke down. And I was about to break down, and the voice of God says, "I got you." And I was like, "Okay, Lord, you got me." And I walked off the line, and I was relieved. I was relieved. Even though I had failed and I knew it was coming next, because now they refer you for dismissal. So instead of dismissal, like I said, I'm going to tell you the end of the story. Instead of dismissal, I chose to retire. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because the pressure, think about this now, the pressure of shooting and not being able to qualify. For the 19 years that I was there, I qualified. Into the 19th year, I couldn't qualify. I go through what they tell me to go through, and now I'm going to be referred for dismissal. Here's the lesson. When I was referred for dismissal, I said, has this happened to anybody else? And they said there was one other person a couple of years ago, and he's gone. And I'm like, okay, so what happens now? Nobody was able to tell me what happens now. But I'll tell you what happened to me. I was sent to internal affairs as the accused, and I had to answer questions on video, not video, recorded interview. And in the paperwork, it says I was the accused. And I'm like, okay, I didn't pass a test. So how is this And the sergeant told me, he said, I've never done this. He said, I don't know what's going on, but I was told I had to ask you these questions. And they asked me, did I, did I fail on purpose? 51 times did I fail on purpose? And then the questions were they were humiliating, if you will. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then after the questioning, I was told that I had to speak with the chief and some of the members of, I guess, the board that they put together. I've never worked for these individuals that I sat in front of that day, never worked with them or for them. So they didn't know me, but I'm sure they heard of me. But when I walked in there, it was cold and it was stoic. And the three individuals there, they just kind of had blank looks on their face. I looked at the chief. She had a blank look also. They questioned me, asked me the same questions, basically some of the same questions that the sergeant asked me, and they recorded it, mind you. I was not offered a reassignment to maybe a civilian. Nothing was offered, and I didn't ask. And the chief said, is there anything you want to say? At first, I wasn't going to say anything. And then I said, yes, I have something to say. And it's two things. I said, with the training that you guys took away some 10 years ago, where we can't go to the range and practice like we used to, I said, that is not helping anybody. I said, the fear that you put into people about not shooting and not cowboying up, and you need to do it yourself. And I agree. Yes, you need to train and you should stay on top of your training. I'm big on training. But also I felt like, why should I have to go pay to have someone train me for the job that you want me to do? Now, I learned from the old school guys about shooting, and I know part of it's me and practicing wrong. Basically, I have to admit it. I practiced wrong for 18 years, but I still passed. But this 19th year, I couldn't pass. And it was mental. I'm going to get more into that. But I admit my problem with it. But I'm working for an agency that doesn't allow me to practice like I once did. I had to go outside of it and pay somebody else, which I didn't think was right. And I told her. And then the other part of it was, stop making people afraid if they have a deficiency. And the reason why I say that is because you'll see it in emails, you'll hear it in the sergeant's little go get them speech when they tell you to go out on the street. When it comes to training and training with the weapon, you guys better go get the training, or else you're gonna lose your extra job. Or you guys better make sure you pass your in-service, because we're gonna take your extra job. That means taking money, extra money. Don't do that to people. They already have enough stress in dealing with what they deal with in their personal lives, and then to come to the job and have more stress in terms of just from the higher ups not supporting them. And I told her all of this. Now, 2 months after I retired, I do believe they started some program, remedial training in handling a weapon and shooting and stuff like that. Because I also told her that the class that I went through, the recruit class, it was excellent because it was never broken down to me like that some 20 years ago. And I said, we need to go through that every year. And I believe they took heed. But that's why I'm retired, because I could not pass my shooting 51 times. 240s passing, the closest I got was 238. And I'm telling you guys that because there's another part to this. But I just want to share that right now. And the psychological part of it, like I said, it was mental for me. There's nothing physically wrong with me. It was mental. And the things that I was dealing with, going to school, in the PhD program, having to whistleblow on officers. Yeah, I'll tell you more about that. But I just wanted to share that part of you, trying to be somewhat transparent, because people need to see the story and the struggles behind what happens to officers that whistleblow. They don't just go away. Some of them do. But the ones that try to hang on and stand in integrity, things are done in such a way or such a sequence that you start to kind of deteriorate. That's what I'm going to call it, deteriorating. I hope I pronounced that right. I'll share more next week, but that was the very end of uh, the whistleblowing aspect of it, because it took a process of 8 years. 8 years. So I'm going to share more with you guys. But if you want to comment, tell me about some of your experiences. I'd appreciate it at the bottom of this video. And that's it for now. And remember, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Check out our online store. The link is in the description. And I'll talk to you guys later. All right? Be safe. Bye-bye.